I stayed at the Magnolia Hotel in downtown Dallas this past Sunday through Thursday. I visit Dallas occasionally for work and I had actually stayed at Magnolia before, about 3 years ago. Even though the hotel is old and one could say it's creepy by nature, dim lighting, old decor, etc., my last stay was extremely pleasant. I just thought it was a cool historic hotel with big rooms in a great location, which is why I booked it again. This time was not the case. I got in Sunday evening and there was a funky smell in the lobby. It was pungent, kind of like those flowers that smell like vomit. I didn't think anything of it. It's in an extra touristy part of Dallas with tons of bars, and it could have actually been the smell of vomit, who knows. There was one man at the front desk who got me checked in quickly. I had booked a regular room and he said he was upgrading me to a suite since I was staying for 4 nights. I was excited about the upgrade, thanked him, and walked to the elevators to go to my room 2202 on the 22nd floor. The elevators opened and the first notable thing was how hot it was. Dallas is quite warm right now, but the lobby was comfortable and this felt more like the heat was on. Hot, stuffy air. I didn't think anything of it, other than it was weird for them to keep the heat on when it's been almost 90 degrees over there. The floors are pretty big with 2 halls, one to the left and one to the right immediately after you get out of the elevator. Mine was to the left. I passed maybe 6 other rooms and got to mine. I opened the door and I don't know how else to describe it other than it had a really bad vibe. It was dark and dingy and just felt bad in there. Like from the hallway to my room felt like totally different energies. It was weird because I felt kind of scared and fearful but wasn't sure why, like I couldn't control the feeling from my mind or gut or wherever the hell fear comes from. I tried turning more lights on to make it less creepy, but all the fixtures are old, so even with every light on it's still pretty dim. I didn't want to overthink it, so I unpacked and went out to grab some dinner. I came back to the hotel and just went through the same motions. The noticeably bad smell in lobby, the noticeably warm 22nd floor, and the awful feeling that came over me as I walked into my room. I start getting ready for bed and that's when the weird shit started happening. There's lots of shiny surfaces in the room, like 2 TV screens, glass tabletops, and framed art. Every time I looked towards one of these objects, there would be some kind of unexplained movement in it. I wasn't seeing a specific image or anything, it was more like a reflection/shadow walking past behind me or a weird shift in the lighting/glare. I would hold still and look behind me to try and understand what was happening, but I couldn't make sense of it. The room was a suite, so it was pretty big. It was laid out long with a small kitchenette when you enter, dining/TV area, bedroom and bathroom. There were 3 or 4 times where I'd be in one area and see something walk by in the room next to me out of the corner of my eye. It was one of the most unsettling feelings I've ever had, but I just kept thinking I had to be imagining things. I'm about to go to bed and I hear a loud noise come from the closet. It was like the sound made when you open a shower curtain really fast and the metal hooks roll against the metal rod. I open the closet and the 5 pieces of clothing I had on hangers are swaying slightly back and forth. I think I'm going fucking crazy at this point. I try to sleep. It's obviously very hard after all that, but I really try, convincing myself that I need to get sleep so I stop imagining things. At around 1:30 a.m. my body gets so hot. I'm confused because my room doesn't feel hot and my bed still feels comfortable, but my body is very warm. I fall asleep for about 30 minutes and I wake up really startled. I didn't hear or see anything, but it was that feeling you get when someone shakes you while you're sleeping and you wake up abruptly and confused. Then a few seconds later, I feel a tug at the end of my bed towards my feet, like someone is pulling lightly on my sheets. I scream and get up to turn the lights on. I'm just super scared at this point, looking all around the room trying to find something. I consider calling the front desk, but for some reason do not. I just leave the lights on and look at my phone for a while and get a really awful night of sleep. I'd say I slept for about 2 hours on and off. I wake up tired but feeling alright, all things considered. I set the thermostat to 60 and I go to work and go about my day fine, not really even stopping to think about what happened. That night I went to dinner with some coworkers and they asked me how my hotel is. For whatever reason I don't want to tell them what happened. I had this feeling come over me like I wasn't supposed to talk about what happened, at least not at that time. I go back to my room that night and within the first few seconds I'm in there, a shadow walks by again, but this time it's inches next to me to my left. I am freaked the fuck out. And it looked like a tall man. I didn't see a face or person, it was more like an opaque shadow. But I could tell it was a man the same way you can be walking down the street and tell a man, woman or child was next to you without looking at them. I run towards the door but stay in the room. I call my boyfriend and tell him what I saw and he said I had to be imagining things, but if I was really worried to call the front desk and ask someone to check my room. And hang up and pull up the number to the concierge, but can't bring myself to call it. I had a feeling again come over me telling me not to talk about what was going on and that I should stay. These events ended up happening every single night. It was almost like I was living with a roommate. There was constant movement, someone would walk past me in an adjacent door frame throughout the entire stay. The reflective surfaces would show unexplained activity in them. My body would get boiling hot at around 1:30 a.m. and I'd wake up confused, followed by a tug at my feet. I kind of got used to it. Don't get me wrong, I was absolutely terrified the entire time, but I had this feeling like I had to keep quiet and get through it. The last 2 nights also felt a bit different. I was still scared because of all this wild shit happening, but I didn't feel like I was in any danger. I was scrolling through my texts and on the last night I had texted my BF, "I'm so tired of these shadows watching me, it's getting old," really casually while I was half asleep. I was so excited to check out this morning. I packed up now, avoiding all reflective surfaces, and went downstairs. I grabbed a coffee and had to pee before I left, but obviously did not want to go back to the room, so I went to the bathroom in the business center. I go to wash my hands and 2 sinks over the automatic soap dispenses 1 pump and the water runs for about 30 seconds as recommended by the CDC. As I was leaving I go linger the front desk for a while, considering telling them what happened to me. I wait for other guests to clear and go up to the one young girl working there. I ask her if anyone ever reported paranormal or unexplained things happening at the hotel. She said no, but that she was new and not sure. Then she asked me what room I was in and she said, "Oh, that's weird, they told me to never put people in that hall." She then asked me who checked me in, and when I told her, she said she didn't know anyone that. Again, she said she didn't work there very long. I didn't take it too seriously and I felt delirious at this point. I was waiting for people to pop out like I was on some kind of prank TV show or something. Once I checked out I felt more comfortable talking about it. I didn't get into details, but I did tell some coworkers that my hotel was haunted, and immediately their responses were, "Was it the Adolphus, which is supposedly very haunted, with a history of murders and freaky shit, and it's next door to Magnolia?" Apparently Dallas is very haunted, which is news to me, but probably not to many of you reading this. So that's my story. Like I said, the hotel is old and creepy, but I'm positive that something paranormal was with me there. I've never been particularly into this stuff, but I'm the type to be open to the idea of many things, and I just can't believe it happened to me. I live with my husband and 2 teens in a cul-de-sac that borders woods. We all love spending time in our yard and enjoying nature. On 2 occasions now my kids have told me about some eerie experiences they've had. My kids recently got a trampoline and love to be on it even at night. Recently, they heard whistling and conversations from the woods around 10 p.m. Now I can assure you nobody goes down there, wooded embankment too, except in hunting season. This really freaked them out and they came in and told me right away. I should mention we have a cat that escapes sometimes and we end up in the yard looking and calling her name. Another time, my son was out around dusk looking for the cat near the border of the woods. He was by himself and his sister was inside. He said he heard his sister calling his name from the woods twice and then giggling. This was very unsettling to say the least. I want cameras for the yard. Not sure what's going on.